reason why we want to do this is that it allows us to carry, take some of the equipment off our bike, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. We don't want to have a water bottle on our bike. Okay, never ever want to carry water bottles on our bike. So we want to have our backpack loaded, set to go, lots of water, need to be ready in case we're going to be out for 8-10 hours. When you see some of the longer lasting skirmish lines, guys will be online for 6, 8, 10, 12 hours. And you get a full skirmish line. Some of the Americas in Quebec City, when they had the riots there, guys were online for 12, 16 hours. And they literally used the bathroom facilities from within to take care of business because they couldn't get offline. And so when you can't get to where you need to go, you need to take care of business where you are. And that's not, I mean, it's kind of lousy, but that's not as big an issue as being able to hydrate, particularly if you're in full kit. If you are in full kit with gloves, and you got to remember, to make the flash resistance work, you have to cover skin. And the only skin you're going to have open is your face. We also wear balaclavas, black balaclavas that are made of Nomex, but it has the full face that's open so that we can put our mask on. You think it's a little bit warm wearing that when you're out patrol and you're riding a bike, all of this on a bike. It's a little warm, but nonetheless, the protection is there. Lots of snacks. Yeah, make sure you have lots of snacks. Make sure that everybody has wire cutters, little pair of wire cutters. One of the real easy tricks that protesters will use on bikes is those zips. They'll zip your bike. If they use the those U-locks, first of all, you haven't been paying attention. If they're able to get a U-lock onto your bike and you don't notice, then you're in big trouble. But they'll zip your bike. They'll get those long zips and zzz, they'll come in real fast, and that's why you need to have wire cutters. Fire extinguishers. Each team is designated as having one person. Normally it's a 2IC carries a fire extinguisher. For WPC, the sergeants, each team sergeant carried a fire extinguisher. That made great press because they thought these were the large OC canisters, the Mark IVs, Mark 9s, big ones. What?
The foggers.
Foggers, yeah. So no, it's fire extinguisher. Protesters knew better. They said that we had taken all the fire depressant, suppressant stuff out and put in OC. And the man, it was the man. But anyway, they were fire extinguishers. Just for the very reason that someone does get the Molotovs, and we'll get into some of that soon. So wire cutters, snips of some kind, everybody should have a pair. They're really inexpensive. Most guys carry Leathermans. The only problem with that is that you have to unfold, untwist, unturn. They work. Leathermans are great. I have one, but for this, it's a pair of cutters in your pocket and there you go. Yeah. For the bike itself, when we are going into a rally that we know is going to be a rally, we take off all of our accessories, including our panniers, which we all take our panties off. Saddlebags. Saddlebags. How do you say in your language? Saddlebags. Take the panniers off, the back trunk. We'll take water bottle cages off. We will take our lights and our front junk accessories off, and our bar ends. Now bar ends are becoming passe again. It's the fashion of cycling is where it's at now. I mean, some people use bar ends, they go out of style, they'll come back. And so do you guys use bar ends? Mm-hmm. Yeah. For a protest rally, we have those off. They just come off, they just a couple of zips off. Because what happens is you're presenting a bike to a protester, you've got that nice piece that works for them. Grabbing onto a handlebar in this direction is not as nice as grabbing onto a bar end. The top tube is a little too tight for them. It's a little too tight, and if they do grab that, the magic glove with a knuckle duster on it does really good on a finger if they grab onto the top tube. Seat, they normally don't grab the seat because it's just not real, it's not real good to grab onto. The back rack will sometimes present them, but once again, knuckle across their hand will result in them.
So you don't remove the back rack, you leave the tracks on?
We remove the things from the back rack, but normally we'll leave that on.
Sounds like you let your protesters get out of hand. That's
Oh, they never get out of hand.
if they're throwing Molotov cocktails at you and grabbing your bike and zipping your bike.
Well,
run
if
a
we've got
fire
things,
hose on those guys.
what's that? Fire hoses don't work. Fire hoses don't work. You don't have enough PSI to remove a person with fire hose.
Upgrade the PSI.
Bigger pump.
Today's fire department. People don't act up like that.
When you are in the middle of it,
Put them in jail.
oh yeah, they end up there, sure, but we need to be able to move on. When I trained Washington, we had what's that?
We're just fortunate.
Yeah.
I was just say, we're just fortunate, we don't have all of it.
Yeah.
They don't have the lawyers standing on the line ready to sue us.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's.
But if you could have, we've had courthouse shootings, we've got Arts Fest, we've got NASCAR, you know, there's the Lockheed strikes, I mean, the potential's there for it to happen.
Oh, yeah.
We don't, I mean, our protest incidents are, oh, they're gonna protest, and you show up down there, and there's like 2 or 3 people down there.
If Fort Worth were to bid for and win the WTO contract,
Yeah.
Exactly, good point.
Oh, that would
right?
be.
Then you guys will need to be somewhere where you're not currently.
Right.
Washington gets big rallies all the time.
Yep.
We train their people to be prepared for zips and ties and all of these things. They had WTO there, World Trade.
Hopefully I'll be retired
Yes, me too. Anyway, they had World Trade come to Washington. It's a yearly occurrence. And we had talked about staying with your bike. We'll talk about it a lot later, but you stay with your bike. You don't leave your bike. There's no point setting up a rolling fence and then walking away from your bike. When they had WTO, they had their protest rallies, they had a group of guys. Our people went down there to see what was going on. Because I was only a sergeant, of course, I wasn't invited. So they were going to report back to me what were some of the things that they saw. And when they came back, they said they weren't sure they wanted to use the bikes because they'd had 6 or 8 bikes stolen during the Washington rallies. They said, how can you be effective if half the rally riders are riding police bikes? How effective are the coppers from on bike if they have to jog beside the rest of their group? So what we did is we took a look at some of the video footage, and what they did is they set up their bikes, then they walked back to the wall back here, and you can see them standing back here like this, smoking. Now, these are bike cops, right? Smoking their cigarettes. Their bikes are up there. Guys would come up and they'd go, you know, like cops do, a stern look and a finger point and justice is served. So we get this, and guys standing there yelling at them, talking back and forth, and the cops are standing there. You can't hear what's saying, but you can see the, you know, please go about your business. Words to that effect. The guy grabbed the bike and ride off. The cop would go, take about 3 steps and shake a fist, and that was it. So, in those situations, you're absolutely right. You're not in a position to deal with it properly. If you're with your bike, chances are you're going to be in a position to deal with it. And if someone does touch your bike, that's very simple. Don't touch my bike, sir. And if they grab your bike even further, then we'll get into that. We'll talk about it. We did it in Solid. We talked about bringing people through the line, moving them from their side into the abyss, into the black hole. So we'll deal with those issues and we'll talk about those things. Keeping in mind that as a bike officer, we are the soft, warm, and fuzzy ones. We don't want to escalate it unless we have to, because we are mom, and we don't want to wait till dad gets home. So we want to make sure that if it's something serious that we deal with it, but if it's just grabbing your bike and being an idiot, well, treat him like an idiot. You don't need to escalate it too far. Being in a position to control that, being in a position to deal with that is what's important. Being with your bike really helps. If you've ever noticed the height of a handlebar, mostly for guys, have you ever noticed the height of a handlebar is just so? So we'll get into those kinds of tactics. We'll talk about how to use that as an appropriate level of force. The other thing we talk about is using parts of your bike. The pedal that we use on our bikes is a downhill pedal with these really nice sharp little edges. And if anyone would like to volunteer, we'll take one of these and just scrape it down your shin. Using parts of your bike, and we'll talk about that. When you're lined up in a chain, in a fence, a rolling fence, you want to make sure that your bike is in the middle chain ring. Taking that bike and advancing it forward sometimes will result in that bike being scraped down a person's shin. And that outer ring will make nice little furrows. You know, you could plant weed in there. So, is that a planned maneuver? No, we can't plan those things, because if we're planning to assault a person, then we are bad. So what we have to do is we have to be prepared for that, and if it happens, it happens. It is. We don't plan through the radio systems, okay, we want to take the shins out on number 41. But those are things that we need to do. When we are advancing the bikes, remember, we are likely advancing the bikes on a group of people that don't necessarily want to be advanced upon. I'm not necessarily now talking about protest rallies. When we have to move a person, a dignitary, a group of people through a crowd, we will need to build a corridor for them. And if we move our wedge into that group of people, and then we move that wedge out and make a protective alleyway for them, we will be advancing our bikes. And it hurts. And people will move back if they get hit with a piece of the bike. And so these are the kinds of things that will very likely to be more likely to happen. Charlotte was really, really interested. When we set up Charlotte's, they couldn't think of the protest component. They didn't have to. They have the Bobcats now. Right. Isn't that the name of the professional basketball team that's failing there, like
Yes.
Hornets did before? So they had one of these groups, and they had the main star from their basketball team was out on bail or something, and they were celebrating his return to the city of Charlotte, and had to move him through a crowd, and so they had to open up, and they found that these tactics work really, really well. So these are the areas that we can start crossing over from protest rally to friendly group. One of the things that we'll deal with mostly is friendly crowds, but we need to be prepared for the unfriendly crowds, right? Any questions with respect to that?
Ready?
My pedals are available whenever you're ready. God, it's hot. Anything else hot? I did a rookie mistake. I did a Canadian thing, right? I thought it's really hot here, so I went outside to cool off. Didn't work. Alrighty, we'll take another break, about 5 minutes. Just get up, stretch, get the cobwebs out, and get back at it. Go outside and cool off if you like.